Hi, and welcome to Brand Matters. This is podcast where we discuss with our guest on how to create strong and meaningful brands. I'm your host, Misha Che, and today we're going to talk about PR and its role in shaping the brand perception. And I'm very happy to introduce our guest today, Dina Mostovaya, founder and CEO of global PR agency Mindset Consulting. Dina, hi, and welcome.
Hi, Misha. Hi, everyone. Happy to be here.
I know that you were named as the best woman in PR by the Davos Communication Award 2022, so very
Yeah,
recently. Congratulate you on that.
thank you.
How did you made your way into the international PR scene and how did you get this award?
Oh gosh, look. So it was 8 years ago when I started my career in, working with the international companies and projects. So I was like, searching some different ways of building my career. And of course, when you speak English and you have friends, around the world, of course, you're just interested in what is going on different markets in different countries and regions as well. So that's why I was like, okay, let's start and let's just try. And then I just spoke with the different PR professionals in America, in London, and in Barcelona, and they were like, it's easy. You just have to try, and that's it. So. Yes, I remember my first project and first speech. That time I sent like over 60 emails and I got only one or two replies, and I was like, "What's going on? Why so? Why so um, difficult to do that?" But then I just got some business coaches, consultant sessions and mentors and PR professional who helped me just to understand how should I write the press release, how should I pitch the media, and so on, and just step by step, let's say. Yeah, and about the Davis, look, I don't know. I just decided to tell them about my results for my clients and our agency's cases, and I think the results I provided, it was like a lot of numbers and some analysis. That's why maybe it helped them to understand me.
Dina, sounds too easy. Sorry, I don't believe you. I think there is a lot of sweat and work in there. So let's go deeper. I looked at your career track and I saw that you started as the in house PR specialist. And then you grew and moved as an independent PR consultant. And now you're a founder and the CEO of your own international PR agency. So, what was the most challenging when you became from the in house, moved to independent consultant? And I'll throw the second one as well. Why did you decide to move from consultancy to opening your own agency? How did that happen?
Yeah. Look, so I started my career in 2007, and the first agency I worked in was Meteor Group in London. And honestly, my in-house experience was only in different agencies. But then, yes, it was, 2012 or even 13, and startups was on the rise. They are still is on the rise, I would say. But that time it was like wow, like a booming market, what's going on there, and I was interested in just exploring new opportunities for me. So that's why, yeah, I just decided, okay, I want to work with different entrepreneurs, different investors, and that's why I was like, okay, the most challenging thing was for me time, I guess, because when you work by yourself, it means you have to manage your schedule to have time to, I don't know, meet journalists, your clients, partners, to travel, to attend different conferences, because of course you have to develop your network and international network. So that's why it was like time. That time I slept like 4 hours, maximum 5 hours per day. Yeah. But still, I think that the sacrifice was, exactly for my career, and I don't regret right now. And yes, what else? I would say building my portfolio with the successful projects and cases, because of course when you're a consultant, it's all about your reputation, and what else, and about your network, of course. So that's why soft skills, negotiations, sales, portfolio, relations with the media and partners and clients, time. This I would say. And then, yes, I founded my agency 3 years ago. And honestly, it was, just clear demand from the market. I got so many like requests, from entrepreneurs. Like Dina helped me with the, I don't know, brand awareness, helped me with the interviews, helped me to understand why journalists don't reply to my emails, for example, And I was like, okay, I sleep 4 hours. I can't sleep, 1 hour. It's just impossible. So I decided, okay, it seems I need to found an agency, and I need my own team who will work with the clients, and and this is how it is, like this, just easy.
Sounds like sleeping 4 hours a day doesn't seem that easy. But let's dive a little bit on the clients and how did you first acquire them? That was the most interesting. So, how did you do, or do you do your own PR for PR agency? And as you said, network. And how I assume you develop your personal brand to help your own kind of consultants and then the agency get the PR. To simplify, how do you get the clients?
Yeah, so it's all about recommendations right now, but still, honestly, I would say, because 3 years we work is an agency. I mean, I work as a founder of the agency, so we still don't have like cold sales, like outbound requests to different companies, and we do not suggest them our services. It's still all the inbound requests from clients who, I don't know, who did a pivot, for example, and now they have like new companies and new projects and new investments as well. Then I can tell you about myself. So I started from content, of course. I just decided to share my experience, my cases, my results, and what else. I just wrote some posts on Instagram and LinkedIn as well, like some PR tips and I don't know, like how to pitch the media, or what story, how to develop your storytelling, how to, I don't know, speak with your partners, how to build international community, all this stuff. And then I think that people just find they found out information and it was useful, I guess. Sometimes I got these like messages and emails like, Dina, can you help me with this, or can you help me with the, I don't know, fundraising, for example. And yeah, so it's about content. Then I decided to give free masterclasses, webinars, and lectures, because I think that to share information and your success story, it's important just to share, in general, to share in our life, it's important. Then so yeah, regarding to these awards and rankings, I just decided to tell, like, to like more wider community about myself and about the agency. But still, I wouldn't say that we do like some, I don't know, advertising or marketing, no, no. We are, good right now as we are. But of course, it depends on what company, the size of the company you want to build in the future. I'm not into, like big corporation or big agency as an Edelman or Red Havas, I'm not sure that I would be able to, to work with the, I don't know, thousands of clients, or I don't know, like a team of 100 people. Yeah, so I would love to build an agency, small one, but with the great performance, let's say.
Sounds like you're building a very strong brand yourself because when we analyze different brands here on podcast, we realize that there is, of course, a lot of advertising channels, but the biggest and the strongest brands, no matter how big or small they are, they have this recommendation power, which I think you clearly do have. Tell me, why do clients recommend you or your agency to each other? What's the reason behind that? What is your USP?
I think my values and my principles, it's too much like tough sometimes, because for example, I usually say like everywhere, to every client, we do not work with blockchain or crypto projects and companies. We do not work with everything like concerns like Web3, I don't know, NFT, all these words I can remember. What else? We do not work like 3 or 4 months. Our contracts like not less than 6 8 months usually, because we are about strategy, we're about system, we're about the like very deep and so like very deep relations with the clients, and as well, like soft skills we use, developing our relations with the partners and with different entrepreneurs and investors as well. So that's why we manage like our projects as a small family, let's say, because I'm super excited about relations with people, not only like in terms of business. When I know like more information about entrepreneur and sometimes about his family or his team, it really helps, because we pitch to the media stories. So, but the story shouldn't be only about his business and his projects. It should be like more about lifestyle as well, because we all work with people. Sometimes journalists in America, they say like people by people, or people work with people. So that's why it's very important. Yeah. So yeah, like this.
Wow. Sounds very strong. I love your idea on values and how do you say no, because I think it's very important on what and how do you say no to each things, which actually shapes both the personal value and the company value. Talking about your clients, am I right to conclude that your client portfolio is mostly about either startups or kind of young companies, or is it wrong and you kind of have the vast portfolio of different kind of companies?
Yeah, you're totally right. Look, so early stage companies, startups, projects, even early stage VC funds, but we do not work, for now at least, with corporations and big companies. So it's just different communications and different services that PR that startups need, and corporation, for example. So that's why. My perception of building an agency is like when you help people to grow, to scale their business. So that's why for me it's very important to see their like way, the result. With the corporation it's just a bit different. All these services are a bit slowly, a bit like um, I would say like a lot of I don't know, approvals you need. So with startup it's just easier for me.
And it sounds like more fun to work with startups because you can get directly with the founders and with the decision makers. So it's not only about the speed, but also about the people. Tell
Yeah.
me about a little bit more about how PR is different for startups and how PR can help actually to grow both the brand and the business.
So the brand and the business. Look, the most important things for entrepreneurs, for even first-time entrepreneurs, is about awareness of their personal brand and their products or services they provide to their clients. So that's why it's usually about personal brand awareness in terms of product and business, in terms of partnerships and brand collaborations, because of course you have to use all the channels you have. And what else? Sometimes it's about investment PR, because they need to raise money. Usually entrepreneurs, they raise money like once in I don't know, like 7 8 months. So that's why they need to be like well known, and they should be they have to be well known in like a professional community, but outside of this community as well, because they need to raise money from different investors and funds. So that's why they need to like to be like more presented on social media, in media as well. Some we use also conferences and I don't know, some summits to present them their startup or just product. So yes, and usually we start our project with our clients from developing communication strategy. This is the most important because we need to define their positioning, their key messages, problems they solve. Because usually you found your company when you see a problem, market problem. So that's why, of course, it's very important to present this information to the media. What else? Of course, we speak a lot about their competitors and the market size and some trends. It's very important as well. And then we just, write a lot of content around the person and around brand, and we use different channels to just publish this content. For example, from the first perspective, it can be like podcasts and some online media, but then you should use your social media, and I don't know, you can speak in the universities or on different events, for example. And then if we are talking about corporation and big companies, usually they need just help. They already know their business goals, they already know their communication strategy. So that's why usually they just need help with some different tasks. So that's why, we usually we don't see the whole result. You're not like a part of the success, because in startups you're a part of success because there is their, I don't know, like seed, series seed, then series A, and then you see how team is growing, how they scale their business in different countries. So of course you're a part of this process, and of course this like motivates you a lot. But with the corporations, it's a bit different. But sometimes agencies work with big companies because they need big names in their portfolio, and it's totally okay as well. But for me, it's more important to see the result for the company, for like exact people, than to have like big names in my portfolio.
Right, right, right. And I assume that startups, they always, have limited resources, both in terms of time, money, and people. And I
Oh yes,
assume,
that's for sure.
and I assume the speed there is
Usually,
different.
yeah. Usually they say it like, hey, Dina, we don't have money, we don't have investments. Let's pause everything. But that's okay. This is just a part of their journey.
And I assume that's the other part, that basically they really need to see the result and probably some quick results. And maybe they're very demanding in terms how you set the goals, measure goals, and deliver the goals. Can you tell us a little bit more? How do you guys work with this, setting the goals, measuring, and delivering? And how is that also might be different startups versus the big corporations for PR?
Yeah, look, usually startups, okay, they need money, as we already discussed with you. They need money, they need awareness, and they need sales, of course. This is, the main thing. Usually they come to us and say, like, these are our PR goals. So yes, we have different like strategies and mechanics and tools that we can use, in terms of PR and communications. So that's why usually we just, propose to work, I don't know, on their own channels, like newsletter or their own blog or podcast as well. Or sometimes we just suggest them to, I don't know, speak about their use cases and their clients' success stories. Because I don't know, this, for example, B2B company. In terms of B2C, it's more complicated because B2C PR is about emotions and about like emotions and feelings. So that's why you need to to provide information about company, not about the exact product, but how your life can change using these products or using this app, for example. So yes, and if we are talking about big companies, corporations, as already said, that they usually already have their communication plan. So that's why we are just join the journey they already did, and that's why we just became like a part of some like departments. So, and we just help with the, I don't know, with media relations, for example. I also wanted to say about crisis prediction plan. It's very important for startups, for companies, like for big companies as well. They have their own policy, they have like a lot of legal questions they need to discuss before the interview, for example, or before attending some, events, or, before, I don't know, like speaking about something, with the startups it's just easier. You have this plan and sometimes you need it. But sometimes, they work, they grow, and everything is okay. You don't need, to I don't know, to work on their crisis. But with the big companies, they're like more well known, they're more familiar with their, audience. So that's why sometimes they're like more under radar, let's say, in terms of crisis. But yes, I assume you all know, guys, that recently there were a lot of crises, in terms of startups. And the question is about not only about the startup and the founder, but is about due diligence that VC funds or companies like Morgan Stanley, or JP Morgan did in the past. So, but still, I don't know. I think the market just, tries to clean itself. It's my perception of the situation is like this. We just find the right way, because the boom of startup, I don't know, was like 10, no, maybe 15 years ago, like, that big. So that's why we just need time to, to find our way. I mean, for all the, like tech community, not just for us.
I loved your idea about that people actually buys not from the company but from other people, and I think that's very relevant for B2B and even B2C. And also, as I understand, there is of course role of the company brand and product brand, but there's also a personal brand behind the company. And sometimes, I mean, we see the Tesla or Twitter story and Elon Musk behind him. And I've personally been working in companies where there's a very strong a person stands behind it who has his own kind of storytelling of who he is. And especially social media, they completely opened up the opportunity to build this personal brand. How do you guys help to build the personal brand behind the startup company, especially if the founder, for example, or executive people, they're a little bit resistant? They're not this kind of public people. How do you push them, if you push them at all, or how do you help them to become more visible and more public in these cases?
Honestly, I am not the person who likes to push someone to do something, because it's very important in your business, in your professional career, to do the things you really like. Because when you like something, you have these emotions, feelings. You are really interested in all the processes and what's going on, in terms of your business and other stuff. So, of course, we have these cases when entrepreneurs said that I'm not into my personal brand. I really don't want to, to give a speech somewhere. I don't know, to give an interview and so on. And of course, then we use their team. So he's like executives, co-founder, sometimes advisor, investor, or I don't know, like CPO, CTO. There are a lot of people in your company that are really eager to build their personal brand. Sometimes they just don't want to say it, to disclose this information, their feelings, but usually they're ready to they're ready to speak and to give an interview, I don't know, to help with content, with cases and so on. So that's why, yes. But personal brand is about first story, your own story, your values, your principles, I don't know, about your understanding of where is your company go, and where you would love to be this company in, like in the future. So then it's about market problems. That's very important, because I don't know, why then your company exists, of course you have, to solve some market problems. And what else? And about your expertise, about your experience, and about content in general. So that's why it's right now it's all about content, about video or audio, I don't know, like some, text, but still everything is about content.
Let's talk about the content now and about the
Mm-hmm.
media. And understand basically there are two blocks of media. There's, of course, social
Mm-hmm.
media, which you can either develop or kind of grow. And there is the classical media. Still, there is a, tier one medias that still get some readership either through offline or online or sites, or they have their own podcast, etc. How do you make sure that your clients get the best media coverage, and how do you get them into tier one media? So that's the first
Mm-hmm.
part of the question. And how do you help them to develop their own channels and their own kind of ecosystem of their own media?
Yeah. Look, with the top media, and let's talk about American media, yeah? So just imagine there is a journalist sitting, here, in his room, and he got, usually he get like every day 300 of emails, like 500 of emails, because imagine startups from all around the world, like Spanish, German, Russian, French, Japanese, all these companies, and usually they would they want to enter American market, and of course they want, journalists to write about them. And we speak about startups, but there are thousands of PR agencies and PR professionals. So usually it's just, a huge competition just for journalist attention. So that's why usually we say that American market, American to be in the American media is just the most, important thing for your business because of, market economy and so on, but still just the most difficult part of all the communication plan. So that's why the thing is about to write the right headline, the right pitch, which should be maximum of like 5, 6 sentences, not more. No attached documents, just some tips for PR professionals. And then it's all about follow-ups. And you have to know all these mechanics, for example, you have to follow up not the right day after you send your email, but in one day, or better 2 days. Then you can follow up, I don't know, on LinkedIn or Twitter, for example. Sometimes you can give a call, it's easy as well. So that's why all these secrets, let's say, and tips we have to know. That's why it's easier for us to understand how we can, secure all these publications in top media. So yes, and the second question was about how we develop these opportunities for them, and about their own channels. Yes, you said,
Correct. The
yeah,
social media,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
How to help them
yeah,
grow that
social
part.
media. Uh, Look, for example, LinkedIn, we have like 20, 30, let's say, secrets how we get like more impressions from each post, and at what time you should post your information on LinkedIn. For example, the best time is from 10 a.m. until 11 a.m. your local time. Yes. So of course we know that we have this 1 hour we can post this information, and then you have just 1 hour when LinkedIn, let's say, work on your post and promote it. But then if in 1 hour you don't have any impressions, like likes, comments, and so on, let's say like LinkedIn stopped to work on it, and just as you, I don't know, for example, you get like only 3 likes. So it will be like this, So sometimes we just need to, to give like immediate training for our clients, for entrepreneurs, and just we tell them all this information So that's why, we know how to work with this social media. And in terms of newsletters, as you remember, 2 years ago, one newsletter was acquired by Google. And it was like huge news on the market, because newsletter can be acquired in general. So everybody was like, oh gosh, of course. So it means this is like a real business. So that's why when you write your newsletter, you have your some rules as well, and then you just develop around your newsletter like a small community, let's say partners, journalists, clients, ex-clients, potential clients, team, potential your employees, or I don't know, like journalists as well. Yeah. So that's why, and then you just build your, let's say, like community from all these people. And then just you have to know to understand why you need to send this newsletter. What was the main goal, what's the main purpose? So usually it's about sales, usually it's about telling success stories, or I don't know, to use some information from your partners and brand, to use brand collaborations. So usually you have to define all this, like strategy for your newsletter as well. Then concerning blogs, like website blogs, or for example, you usually can have also like blog on Medium platform. So when it helps you to pop up in Google, that's the main point for early stage companies. And then when like your potential clients use keywords on Google, so of course your blog, your text, your columns you wrote can be on the first page of Google. So that's why it's very important, just to be in terms of this, information in the information field, let's say. So yes, and we can suggest like everything from key messages until like your like positioning, or your, I don't know, like story. Or we can also suggest you have to speak about these topics, about these problems. And then just big a big like strategy, a big plan, content plan that we use like step by step, like each month. And then you see the feedback from the market and from your community, and then you can build another plan in terms of their request, and in terms of their, I don't know, like wishes. Because sometimes people just write me on LinkedIn like, Dina, please more, I don't know, post about crisis, crisis communications. Of course, got it. Let's do that.
Thank you so much for these tips. And I will definitely next time post on my LinkedIn from 10 to 11. Didn't know that the algorithm is working the best on that time. So
Yeah,
something useful for me as well. Let's move, Dina, now
yeah,
from the content to culture, because I understand you are a very unique person and the agency as well. If I understand you based in Barcelona, you have clients from different countries and you work with media in Europe and United States. How do you manage these cross-cultural teams communication, and how do you develop your understanding on how to pitch to American journalists, to European journalists, when to follow up, how to say, what to say, etc.? How do you manage and how do you develop yourself in this cross-cultural ocean of communications?
yeah. Look, when I started my career in international communication, so 8 years ago, I traveled a lot. I understood at that time. I understood that I have to be like in every country where I would like to work. I would like to have some projects. So that's why it was like everything about relations and speaking with just different people. So I had time when I had like 20 meetings per day, because I just needed to build my relations with the journalists, clients, partners, and so on. And that's why it's simple. I just ask questions like, can I don't know, follow up you in I don't know, in the same day after I sent your email? Or can I follow up you by giving you a call? Or can I do this? Or how is better? Should I write like, hey, how are you doing? Happy Friday. This is my pitch. Or I should write to you like right away. Hey, Dana, I have this news. So, I just, let's say, collected all this information, like, this data, and that's why I just knew from the beginning how should I communicate with different people from different countries. Moreover, I read this book, Culture Map.
Great
it's
book.
it's an amazing book. Yeah, recommend it. And you find out all the information, like, all these tips and tricks, to how to communicate, how to speak with people from different countries. So yes, of course, I still do some like mistakes. Let's say, for example, we have a partner in France, and we started to work with them like half a year ago, and from the beginning our approach was like totally American. We called, we wrote like different kind of emails and messages like everywhere, because we were very eager to understand how the market works. And at the same time, of course, it was like, about our performance for the client. And then he just called me and said, look, Dina, don't push me. I know like everything. We don't work like this in France and so on. Sometimes people from Great Britain told me like, Dina, you're too bossy or you're too pushy, because I send them emails like at 8 p.m. Yeah, but still, but yeah, what else? What helps me else? Mentors, consultants, different consultants. Yes, asking many questions, and just being in the cities, in the countries you want to work in. For example, I had this experience in India when I was like, "Hey guys, I sent you an email. This is the information. This is my attachment, and so on." And they said like, doesn't work like this. Just send me all information by WhatsApp. Okay,
Wow.
got you. And then it was another stories, another story. I came to the meeting with a journalist in India, and he said, um, "Look, you started to work to speak with me about work and about project like right away. First, we have to drink tea with you." To eat something, and then we should speak about work. I said, okay, I got you. Yeah, it was funny, but still, just people sometimes they are more, they just, I don't know, sincere and generous to you. They just tell you how to communicate with them, how to work with them.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I like your very simple ideas that it's the best to ask people how do they prefer to work with them rather than, just guessing and throwing. And I had almost the same experience
Yeah.
as you had in India when I moved to Croatia. That was 12 years ago. I was working for a Swedish company, and Swedish culture is very close to, Americans, very efficient. It's you get down to the business immediately, you solve everything in 5 minutes and then you go. While Croatians, they book a meeting for an hour, but the first 50 or 55 minutes, you have to talk everything but the work. You have to talk about,
That's
the kids,
funny.
the politics, the football, everything. And if you're not doing, they perceive you as rude. And we needed to train our Swedish bosses to kind of convert in the big meetings. And that was very painful for them at the beginning. But then after a year, they adopted and they were really eager, to speak everything but the work, and they became true Croats. So yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
And I love this book that you mentioned, The Culture Map. I think that's the best kind of scientific approach on mapping the different ways on how to give feedback, how to communicate, how to speak with people, how to manage people,
How to
etc.
write emails. Yes, yes, yes. How to communicate with the boss and his manager. Can you speak with the boss without his manager, or the opposite? Yes, all this stuff. It's like amazing book. As I remember, Erin is a professor at INSEAD,
Correct.
this MBA school. Yeah, and I think that one day I would love to speak with her and maybe get a like a master class, because sometimes you work with different companies, and you don't remember all this tips from the book, but you would love to to speak and to discuss it. And she gave like great examples and stories from her personal life, her professional life as well. And I was like, okay, it's just you have to know these cultural differences, because the world is just like global, in terms of professional life, in terms, communication. And sometimes, like, as you said, a Croatian PR professional can pitch, I don't know, American media, or I don't know, Japanese media, Chinese journalists, and so on. Of course, we have to learn how to communicate with each other, and we have to be, like, more generous, to each other as well.
Agree totally. Uh, I loved how you describe how you build the relations, and I understand that you travel a lot, you communicate with people a lot physically, face to face. But I also understand that pandemic kind of changed the way we communicate. Now, the way we communicate right now is more accepted by majority of the people. Is there now a way to build a media relation without being physically present in the country where the media sits? Is that the way? And if so, how do you do that? How do you manage and build the media relations distantly? Is it possible?
Yes, it's possible, of course, and it's all about attention to a, certain person, to a certain journalist, and of course, it's all about, Zoom calls, or I don't know, like texting on LinkedIn or Twitter, and mention his new op-eds or features, or columns, or some interviews, and just to to say some kind words, and just to mention his like work, let's say, in general. But of course, to be physical in a city or in a country, of course, it's the best you can imagine. I had an experience when it was 2021 in November. Finally, I went to London for 4 or 5 weeks, just to to meet my clients after pandemic, and journalists and so on. So I had this journalist from BBC. I wanted to work with her many years ago, and I had an opportunity and topic for her. And then I just saw on her Twitter that she will be a speaker on a very small event, speaking about, like media pitching and blah, blah, blah. And I came there, and you know what? Within just two or three minutes of our conversation, I pitched to her 2 stories,
Wow.
and she added me on her Twitter and LinkedIn, and she gave me her personal email. So, and then after like 2 or 3 months, I got a story on BBC. So, of course, personal meetings, like, this is the best. But still, of course, during the pandemic, I had just, these Zoom calls speaking about nothing. Just, like, hey,
Hmm.
how are you? What's going on? Let's drink wine together, like 30 minutes speaking about nothing. But it's all about these relations you built for a long time. Of course, this just was like this. But still, I prefer to meet everyone. I'm like an old mindset person. Let's say I'm still about meetings. So that's why if I have a opportunity to go to, I don't know, to London, New York, or I don't know, somewhere, of course, for me it's much better. And you said that we are in Spain. Yes, my core team is in Barcelona. We registered our company in Madrid, but still, a lot of journalists, they attend, and they come here to different conferences, and events. So that's why I usually, have time to go there, just to meet them, just to, give some sentences like, "Hey, I'm Dina," blah blah blah, and yes, it's much better, of course.
Nothing beats the personal connections. And I loved
Yeah.
your simple idea of paying attention to details. And if you really want to get someone's attention, you just need to follow, understand what this person like or don't like, or what he do or don't. So yeah, great tip.
Yeah. Yeah, let me add here.
Sure.
Look, for example, you have an interview. You're an entrepreneur, and you have an interview. Just after the interview was published, just send like one sentence via email, like, "Hey, it was great to speak with you. Thank you so much for the interview, for this publication." It really helps, building your relations with the media.
Yeah.
Usually nobody does it,
Does these simple follow up things. Yeah. I will definitely copy
Yeah,
that as well. I'll follow up much more than I usually do. Thank you for the
sure.
tip. And Dina, you also told that one important thing for every startup is to get this kind of framework of what you do or don't do in the crisis communication. Is there any kind of basic rules that startups should follow, what to do and don't do in crisis communication? And if so, can you please share it with us?
Yeah, of course. Look, the first important thing is that crisis communications is about short time. You have to develop your, crisis prediction plan and then use all this, prepared messages and answers right away within 1 or 2 hours maximum. Because, sometimes companies I remember the statistics that only 3% of all tech companies have their crisis prediction plan.
Wow.
This is amazing. It's just wow. Yeah. Uh, and yes, sometimes they just, lose time developing these messages, answers, or, trying to understand who will be a speaker and who will be, in communication with the journalist. Of course, it should be, ready from the beginning, you found your company. And then just yes, should be a team of people who is in charge of this, communications during the crisis. So one person should monitor all the comments on social media and reply to them. Another person should be in charge of communication with the media. Another person is a speaker, just official, company speaker. So yes, 3 or 5 people can help you with different, tasks, but still, the core team should be like 3 4 people who, usually don't sleep, during the crisis. But yes, you have to publish your statement within 1 hour, maximum two, on your website, on your social media, speaking with the media, with the media as well. And what else? And of course, you have to be, into situation. For example, if you have like a problem on your, I don't know, like in your office, you have to go there. Right now, I read a book, how CEO of Walt Disney worked during this 20 years, as I remember, for the company. And he said that my lawyers, they just didn't allow me to have a call with the people who it was a crisis in their park somewhere in America, as I remember, and lawyers didn't give him an opportunity to give a call. But he said, "Look, I'm still human, and that's why I need to call to this family and to speak with them, And he said, he cried after the call, but still, this is the personal touch. This personal touch is very important during the crisis. Because sometimes, people just, companies, they try to avoid all this emotion and feelings, and to give just, very hard statement about the situation, like we are working on it, for example, but no, it doesn't work like this, because remember that I said, people work with people.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
this is the most important, I would say.
Dina, thank you. That's very practical and very useful. And yeah. My last question, coming to practicalities. We already mentioned one book, which I'm also a big fan of, The Culture Map. Is there any other books, sites, or blogs on PR that you recommend for people, especially from startup industry, to kind of grow their PR and brands? If so, what that would be?
Yes, so I would think that I think that the best book I ever read about negotiations was Never Split Up. So this is one of the best. This book was written by former negotiator from FBA, as I remember. So this book is just amazing. What else? And of course, yes, Culture Map as well. And maybe the book is about PR. The name is Inbound PR. Ilyana Starova wrote this book, and she just provided this very important thought for all the PR professionals, that PR, we can measure PR, in terms of numbers, amounts of publications, key messages, like headlines and so on. So this book really helps to understand how you can measure your your work, your performance, and how to deliver these KPIs to the clients. This is the most important book, I would say. And what else? What else I can say? Ah, yeah, of course, the book about Nike from Phil Knight. Just the story how never to give up. This is just amazing story, never give up, because he was about to be bankrupt like 3 times, as I remember, and it was like amazing story how he always tried to find a new opportunity from this problem, from this crisis. Yes, I love this book a lot.
Dina, thank you so much. That was very practical, very professional, very kind of meaty in terms of tips and tricks. I really much enjoyed, and I hope our listeners also appreciate the amount of information about the useful tips you gave to startups how to grow the brand through PR. Thank you so much.
Thank you too.